Okay. Hi. I know it's been a while since I recorded any kind of video, and I apologize for that. Been a little busy. I had first year advising. Some of you remember what it was like to be first year students, and that was all last week, and that was crazy. With 15 new students that didn't know anything. One student actually even asked me, "What do I do when the two classes meet at the same time? Can I take them both?" And I was like, "No." So anyway, it's been busy, and also I've had a little bit of a problem with my shoulders today. I had to go to the doctor, so I'm very stressed. I've been at the computer a little too long with this class and advising, so probably too much information and you don't care. But anyway, I'm just trying to explain why I didn't get a chance to give you the video until now. So we're nearly getting to the end, and you are probably all pretty excited about that. So I wanted to give a couple more comments about medieval because we're just about ending that, and then you have time to reflect on the whole course. And I know some of you have already done the paper, and that's good. And this won't really have anything to do with that. The couple things I want to talk to you about are um, about icons, a little more about that, about abstraction, and about conch and relics. Because one of you, I can't remember which one of you, wrote something about relics and how you're not sure you would really believe that those bones are who they're supposed to be. And there's a great story about that, so I wanted to make sure that I gave that to you because I don't think that's on the that wasn't on the video. So where to start? Okay, so first of all, your comments about the tetrarchs, the image that was actually on your unknowns on your little quiz for module number 3. I brought that work back because it's really, really important, and I was really excited last night because, again, I don't know which one of you, but it doesn't matter. I will review all your posts before I grade them. But one of you actually commented on that it's equality and unity, and that's exactly what it's about. And I'm talking about the Tetrarch statue, the little four little guys that are clinging to each other. And that idea of it being both unity and equality was written by a German art historian in the early part of the 20th century. So the fact that you guys got it, I mean, that's awesome. So granted, I was prodding you a little bit with some of my comments. At least I hope I was helpful in getting you to that final understanding of the meaning of the work. But the Tetrarchs were to be equal and were to be united. They, again, the empire was split in half. There was an eastern half of the Roman Empire, a western half of the Roman Empire, and each ruler in each half had to be equal because otherwise it would be an unequal and uneven rule, and one person would get pissed off and they'd probably have a civil war, and then the whole thing would busticate and end. So Diocletian set it up so that there was equality on both sides. So the official image had to show the people as equal. Not only did the images have to show that, but they had to take the same birthday. So I don't know how they decided that, but they had to celebrate their birthdays on the same day. They intermarried so that they were married, and that was something the Romans did anyway, but this was a way of consolidating the power and making the relationship between the two rulers be extended into even their own families. So the image really is about equality and unity. And since it's about those two ideas, and those two ideas are abstract, they're concepts, you had to have abstraction as the way to render that. Now, we're not talking about abstraction like it's a black wall, it's a black circle or a black square painting of nothing. It's obviously something in reality, but it's not done in a naturalistic style. It's not done the way the Greeks would do it because it's about ideas. And I loved what Brittany said in one of the posts about how, I'm going to just quote it here, as admirable and impressive as the images in the Greek and Roman rulers made, with their naturalistic poses, the idea of abstraction to convey concepts, in this case equality and unity, is more useful, effective, and necessary. And that is exactly what I wanted you to get out of this. So great. And that is what the Christians took over. They took over this idea that art can be about an idea. Art does not have to be a reflection of the world. It does not have to be a reflection of what we see. Art can actually raise us to spiritual understanding, to a spiritual idea. And that is actually an idea called Neoplatonism, which we're not going to get into in this class. It's too complicated. But the general sense of Neoplatonism is that we want to get to the apex of a triangle, which is what the Romans/Greeks called nous, which is the mind, which is the spirit. And it has nothing to do with spiritual matter, which is at the bottom of the triangle. So you have nous at the top, and you have matter at the bottom. But art is like in the middle. Art is made of matter that's at the bottom. But as we look at art, it transcends us into spirit or idea, nous. So art in the Christian period actually becomes very important. And that's where the whole iconoclasm debate comes into. And we've talked about that on the discussion boards quite a bit. So I'm pretty content with where we're leaving that in terms of the different complexities of that. If any of you are interested in more on medieval art, you should take my medieval art course, which probably won't be offered until next year, not this coming year, but like the one after that, because we do a lot more with iconoclasm and the complexities of it. All right, so that actually leads us to a discussion of relics, because the Byzantines also had relics, which are bones, pieces of the nails of the true cross, pieces of the true cross, crown of thorns, as somebody was saying, the tunic of the Virgin Mary, or all these things that people say that they have. So one person on their learning log was saying, like, I don't know if I'd really believe this. Like, this sounds crazy. First of all, that's a very modern opinion. So if you were a baker or a potato grower in the medieval period, and the church told you this is the holy thumb bone of St. Thomas, you would say, got it, believe it, bring it on, all right, and you go see it and everything. But in reality, they may not have been the real bones, but that's beside the point. So we have to kind of suspend our modern notion of this is all hokey and try to understand, why did these people believe this? They believed it because in the case of the pilgrimage routes, and I know some of you are working on your papers and some of you are doing the pilgrimage assignment, the churches wanted people to come to their church. They wanted them to come to their particular place to see their particular relics. If you were a church and you wanted to be on the pilgrimage route, but you didn't have a relic, you were kind of out of luck. Because nobody's going to stay at your place if there isn't something to see. If there isn't a relic to visit, if there isn't something that can heal you. That's part of the pilgrimage route too. A lot of people went to be healed. Not only spiritually, but sometimes physically. So this is the story of Sainte Foy at Conques. And Sainte Foy was a child saint. She was a saint during the Roman Empire. She was martyred for her faith when she was like 8 or 9 years old. And her bones were discovered and kept. And they were in this monastery that was not at Conques. It was somewhere else. So she's happy there. Everything's fine. Everybody loves Sainte Foy's bones at wherever she was. So one night, the monks at Conques, though, go and take her. Take her reliquary. I don't know if the videos talked about this, but relics were put into gold boxes with jewels on them, and they were called reliquaries. So they took her reliquary and brought it back to Conques. And when the monks woke up at the other place, they were like, hey, where's Sainte Foy? Where'd she go? And so they eventually find out that she's now at Conques. So they like go over there and they're like, hey, what's up? Like, you took Sainte Foy. And the monks at Conques, which is now Sainte Foy at Conques, say, well, she came to us in a dream and she was unhappy with you. So we came to get her. And now she's happy and we have her. So that was the story. But Conques was also then, after that point, a pilgrimage stop. And most of the people who stayed at a monastery like Conques, like the other ones, like Saint-Sernin, or like Toulouse, or like Autun, the Saint-Lazare church where you saw the tympanum, the scary tympanum, like don't go to the demon mouth. So most people, when they stopped at those kind of places to see the relics, also left an offering. Ding, ding, ding. So there is propaganda here, but there is also an economic motive for the church to get people to stay with them as opposed to another place. So the relics were really important, especially in the West. The West never develops icons. They never develop this idea of icons actually representing the person. They had to have a bone. They had to have the real thing of the person. And since the Byzantines had this idea that images make the whole person present, they had bones, they had relics, but they were really much more tied to their icons because of the philosophical understanding and belief that these would actually be that the person would actually be present in the image, or through the image you would actually be able to connect with the spiritual person on the other side. So those are some things that I wanted to tell you. You're going to be finishing up this module. Well, one other thing I wanted to say. I know I'm kind of running kind of long tonight, but I think I'm kind of loopy from the medicine I'm taking. But anyway, another thing that I want you to understand, and this was the question about the Dark Ages, is that civilizations are different. And when there's a tendency to say that the only mark of a civilization is if there's naturalism and there's Greek and Roman ideas. And what I'm trying to get you to see is that that is not always the case. The entire Middle Ages could be called the Dark Ages just because they don't start reintroducing classical ideas until the Renaissance. But remember, the Byzantines have all the classical texts. They got all of them. But they're not using a naturalistic style either. Think of the angel ivory that you guys were talking about. That's all abstract. He's like floating on the steps. So I want you to really think about that and really think about what is the definition of a civilization. Is it really whether it's Greek and Roman? And that's why I even suggested that you watch a couple episodes of that Viking TV show, because there's a real reason why the Vikings do what they do. They're nasty, but they have reasons for doing what they do. So they have religious reasons, they have cultural reasons, and yeah, to the Christians it was uncivilized. To the Greeks and Romans it might be uncivilized. But remember, the Romans beat up on everybody. So a lot of people looked at the Romans like, you're the brutes. You come and make me become a pagan. You make me worship your gods. I got my own. So I just really want you to think about that a little bit as you go into the last 3 days of our class, which is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those are your reflection days, and there are specific questions I want you to think about and put on your learning log. And there may even be I don't think we have a discussion module. I think it's all on the learning logs. I really want you to reflect on that question. I might even add that question, and also to really think about these ideas. All right, so good job. I know it was a lot in Module 4, and again, remember, this was a 14-week semester that we crammed into 5 weeks. So if you were living, breathing medieval art, that's kind of what you had to do, because that's how it is. So I've really enjoyed talking with you about these different things, and please post something either to me in an email if there's still another question that you have, because I can post things during your reflection time, and I'll be looking at your learning logs over the next couple days. So if there's anything I can post in a video, I will. Otherwise, this is my last one.